Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of El Koki Otaku. Tonight, our special guest with many voice characters, such as Uryuu, Kamihate in Time the Knot with an Amagami sister, Shofei in Link Fleet, the Bridon arc, Suzuki in No Longer Allowed in Another World, Ling Pincha in Heaven Official Blessing, and Cheslock in Black Butler in the public school arc. Today, we welcome, tonight or today, or whatever time is on your place, we welcome Branden Loera. Branden, thank you so much.
Hola, thank you for having me here. This is great.
I always mess it up with the name, so I need to, my wife, when she does it, she goes very clean. When I do it, I massacre the name, this pronunciation.
Hey, you did pretty good, man. You did pretty good. Don't beat yourself up.
But talking about name, that first one is what I kind of mad because one of my favorite series of the season, and I was surprised it went over 2 seasons on the anime release. Talking about Uryuu, Kahimare in Time the Knot with an Amagami sister. I keep killing the name, Amagami sister. Let's just briefly Amagami sister or Time the Knot. For those who haven't seen this wonderful series, how would you describe it?
Yeah, so it's 24 episodes, which whenever the writer told me that, I was like, yes, job security, I love it. But it starts off as like this romance sort of harem type of thing. Typical, so essentially there's shrine maidens, and they are in charge of a shrine, but it's a very patriarchal society, so they need like a shrine priest in order to run the shrine so that it doesn't go under or whatever. And so the grandpa is like, hey, we need somebody to take care of the shrine. We need you guys to get married or whatever, stat. And so Uryuu comes by and he needs a place to live. So they're like, hey, you can stay here. And then in return, for free, and then in return, you can marry one of us, and then we can keep the shrine forever. And in the meantime, like, he's got his own goals. He's trying to go to medical school at Kyoto University. And so he's doing just a bunch of studying. At the very start, he's just a guy who hates the gods. And yeah, that's another wrinkle. He hates the gods because his mom passed away, and he had been in oh god, it's so sad. But he had been in the hospital with her for months and months. I don't know how, it doesn't specify how long, but like he had been doing everything, praying to the gods every day, doing like building paper cranes for like good luck and stuff that it shows during like episode 5 or so. And it's not like nothing works. She passes. And so he's like, man, screw the gods. This is bull crap. Like, obviously nothing I'm doing is working and not on my side. So he stays with the girls, and he's like, well, I guess I'll figure it out, but I really just need a place to stay. And so during the course of the 24 episodes, his ideals about the gods obviously start to change, and it becomes more complex. We go through the girls' backstories, and we find out that one of them ends up like had a history with Uryuu already, and met them when they were children. Uryuu had helped one of the sisters get out of a kind of crappy situation, and it's beautiful. Like, it's way more in depth than I thought it was going to be, and there's a lot of touching moments, man. Like, between all of us, there's a legendary cast of people. I did not think that I would ever get to do something like this, so I was glad I was given a chance. But yeah, I'd say that's the main story. In the end, like, I just recorded the final episode like a few days ago, at the time that we're recording this, obviously, so it will already have been out. But yeah, it was a really great time. It was just me, man, you know, and it there was a lot of comedic moments, and there was a lot of drama as well. Like, the previous episode, what was it, episode 23 or episode 22 that just recently came out, Celeste Perez was like the star of the show, and like it was a really beautiful moment getting to see her performance in that episode. Like, my God, I'm crying in like most of the back half of the episodes with just how deep things are getting, like me myself. So yeah, I may be biased, but I personally love it.
Do you know if this was the final episode? There's another arc to come, like more material.
So, as I understand it, I'm a person that doesn't really read manga because I already have a lot of anime that I'm watching, whether from like just like pleasure or business. And if I were to add manga to that, I would never have any time in the day. So, what I've heard is that during the first half, they were trying to like go really fast. And then whenever they got to the end on episode 24, it has caught up to the manga or so. So if people are a little frustrated by how it ends and like there is no real resolution, it's because that's when the manga, it's still going, it's still being made. So there might be more, but there's been plenty of times where it's gotten good reception, but and the manga is still ongoing, but for some reason or another they just cut it and you're left with the cliffhanger. So I don't want to say if there is another season yet. I hope so, but the manga leaves it open to where there could be.
Gotcha. And then the reason why I asked you, I know it was kind of unfair question because I took a nap before here. When I woke up, I opened my Facebook and I see one of the page that said, tying the knots to enter to the final arc of the manga. So I'm like, wait, what? Okay, we're still producing this. So yeah. I was surprised. I'm like, wait, so that's mean there's more to come. So I'm looking forward because
hopefully
it is a great series so far. I mean, I'll say so far because I still haven't watched the final episodes.
Sure.
But like you mentioned, Uryuu have a very beautiful story. By the way, guys, will be spoiler always. We don't waste our chances. So join the spoiler, enjoy them. So Uryuu, like I mentioned, you mentioned a lot of story of his background character, emotions. From those stories, which one was the one that most hit you hard? Because there's a lot of moments where we all cry. Like I cry a lot with this series.
Yeah. Oh, I love to hear that. So, like, you mean which arc or which backstory of the girls, or just any of them?
Any moment that it really hit you, didn't see it happen, or the one that made us some tears from love.
Okay, so spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, but so there's a lot of supernatural stuff that happens, with the gods kind of messing with Uryuu's life and the girls, and like just like seeing like what would his life be like if he never met so and so, or if he was just in a different situation, or if they do the body swap episode just to know like what it is to be a shrine maiden or something like that, or what are their goals and not just yours. Like his is a very like tunnel vision, like I just need to study, I just got to get into medical school, screw off, don't touch me and don't bother me. But then like he obviously really cares about these girls, and whenever it's just a place that they go to, it's a shrine they go to, and they make wishes there, and Shida, he wishes that essentially like Uryuu is all mine, and he never knew the sisters. So that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, Shida, why would you do something like that? That's so selfish. How could you? But she was like I've seen him grow up. He was my best friend. We were on the track to do the same things. We're both going to medical school. We both want to take care of these kids. And all of a sudden, he's ripped from me. And like, he's no longer part of my life. He's not in the foster home anymore because they grew up in a foster home together. And now he's just spending all his time with the Shrine Maidens. And so she was like, what if... Sorry, I got something. What if he was just all mine? And so it goes through this like parallel world, branch world type thing of him waking up and just being like, oh, they're boyfriend, girlfriend now. And then the Shrine Maidens Asahi, Yuna, Yai, they don't know him at all. And he was like, all this relationship that we've built for like 20 something episodes is now gone. They think he's just some creepy dude who knows everything about them. And then Shirahi is like going real hard to the paint. Is like, we're boyfriend, girlfriend. We're going to do this. And we're like going right to fourth base or whatever. Obviously, no. But
maybe no. Let's drop the cliffhanger. Did they? We don't know. Find out by yourself.
No. They.
We don't know.
Sure. Yeah, maybe. Find out. But the next episode, I was like, man, where is this going? Because we're getting close to the end. And Shirahi just, like, Uryuu. Every time I'm about to cry, I laugh. But they're in the room together. And Uryuu's like, Shirahi, I just need to know if you're the one who changed all of this. Because he still has all his memories, which doesn't make any sense. And she just breaks down and she's like, yes, I'm a god. Like, I'm sorry. I just wanted you to myself and it's not fair. And I'm sorry I did that to you, and just crying. And Uryuu doesn't know how to handle it. He doesn't know how to handle those emotions. So like I'm having to battle not crying and just being awkward. Like, you can cry on my shoulder if you want, I guess. It was a really beautiful moment, and like we get to see their relationship, their thought process, and then get them back onto the regular world where they're from. And like, I don't know, and the shrine maidens who are in that world are also helping them to get back to their world. And it's just a beautiful story, man. I didn't know that's where it was going, but I'm glad it did. So I'm real happy with the result.
I was so surprised when I saw that moment, the Shirahi story. It was dark. It went suddenly from nice, beautiful, let's go dark all the way out. And damn, it had been a great way to wrap it up the series. And also another moment that really made the tears roll was when her mother showed up for a second. That they're all together, and
oh yeah,
I didn't see that coming. And yeah, that was
whenever they were outside. I can't remember. It was like episode 18 or something. And they're like, "Oh, we're going to honor our mother," and he was visiting his mom's grave, and then he comes back, and he was like, "Well, my mom's gone. Like, it doesn't matter. I've come to peace with it." And they're like, "Well, we're gonna do it anyway." And like they're roasting some stuff or whatever, and smoke is coming out, and then the apparition of his mom appears, and whether he actually sees her or not, I don't know. I want to think he does, but just like. Tears start rolling, man. Oh god, it was so hard to get through that episode. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. That was another big one too. Yeah,
that was those moments that were like perfect, happy ending. Suddenly it's like, boo, no, you know, you're not leaving without crying here. You cry before we go to the credits.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We move on. How was your reaction knowing that you have a main character for 24 episodes, which is an important role because as you have beautiful story, feelings, lots of emotion involved, you had to deliver those emotions for 24 episodes without missing. How was your reaction to that?
Well, I got the email, and it's funny. Like I have some friends who do like a fantasy draft, essentially. So there's whenever a new season comes out, I don't know if they do this anymore, but I participated one time, and they're like, okay, here's all the list of shows that we know is coming out, and here's like a list of people that we think could play this character. Albeit, like, we don't know everybody in the roster, and of course, we're going to put our friends in the top of the list because we're like, oh, we know that they can do that, and so blah 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 blah. And we were going on the list, and we got to this, and they're like, "Who's going to play Uryuu?" And I was like, "Haha, me, duh." And they're like, "We already have you down for a few other things. We're not going to put you down for that." And I was like, "Ah, fair." And so I got that email probably within the next few days or the next week or so. And I was like, Uryuu, who's Uryuu? Because like I knew the picture, but I didn't put the name together. So I watched the episode. The first episode was out. And I was like, oh, it could be this guy in the beginning. He kind of has some line, or he has some lines or whatever. And the amount of time that they called me in for, I was like, okay, this is kind of making sense. Wait a second. Is he a main guy? Is he the guy?
Yeah.
Because I don't see any other guys here that I could play. There's the grandpa. Like, who else is it? I was like, holy crap. And like I was freaking out. I told my mom, obviously, and I was like, I think I just landed a lead, my very first lead. And, you know, I was freaking out. And I was like, hey, 12 episodes. This is awesome. I just to have a lead is so cool. And then I get told it's 24. And I'm like, guys, this is just such a blessing. I did not know this was... I was very honored. And just like this stoic guy who ends up having this huge arc, like everybody does. And we're not just this stagnant thing that doesn't go anywhere. And it's like, ah ha ha, boobs. But, you know, like, oh, there's my bra. It starts off like, there's a couple of moments like that for sure. It stops for a little bit, and it kind of goes back and forth between that. But it's only like one tiny moment. And then for the rest of it, they're like delving into backstory for the most part. So I'm like, this is... I like... And just think about it. Like, there's so many isekais. There's so many comedies. And there's so many slice of lives, sure. But there's not a lot of times when we get called in and we get to do these kind of like deep, heavy shows with this kind of emotion. Like, I didn't think that's where the show could have gone, but I'm so grateful that it did, because I feel really fulfilled having done this show. And from the outside in, if you've never seen this show, you know, you got your assumptions on it of what you think the show is going to be. And it has like a similar storyline to Quintuple or
Quintuplets.
Yeah,
Quintuplets.
I mean, it's the same author, so obviously it's the one that Bradley was the lead in, or maybe no, it wasn't Bradley. Was Tempuru, but that was kind of the similar too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of got a different vibe. I don't know where their shows go, but I really like how in depth it was.
Right. Tempuru is more comedy relief, more edgy. This one is way less edgy. There's comedy, but it's more deeper moments that, like we mentioned, in the past 20 minutes, is feelings, a lot of impact on the spirituality of the characters and the surrounding of them. But moving on, because anime is growing all direction, and there's a very important anime that's not from Japan. Talking about Link Click, when you're the character of Chafei. For those who haven't seen Link Click, how would you describe this one?
Okay, I had a bunch of friends who told me to watch this show. It's a masterpiece, and I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. I put it in my watch list, and I didn't know who was in it, but I was like, I know it's going to be good. Let me just go through my stuff first. I started with the second season and then went back to do the first season, I believe. And it was very complicated. So I was like, okay, so some of them have powers and like it's kind of a supernatural thing, but also not. And a lot of people don't have this. But essentially, a few people, Alejandro Saab, Zeno Robinson, Susie Young, are running this time studio. And essentially what it is, you know, they bring people in and they give them their pictures, and they are able to look at that picture, enter it, and for 12 hours with supervision, they can view the events and try to, as far as I'm concerned, like solve mysteries and figure out like what really happened and things. And so after a while, they start to, I mean, it's going through really, really heavy material. It does not hold your hand, especially with like the arc, just the story itself. You're like, oh, okay, so it's not like, and here's how they did it. You know, it's very heady, very intellectual, I think. It's kind of like, you know, Lost or Severance or something like that, where they have something way down the line where they know where it's heading, but it's taking like all these twists and turns that nobody would have thought. It's a very beautiful show. But so they end up getting a detective in this, and also, okay, so they bring the detective in this, and the whole point is like trying to find Chang Xiaoshu's dad and mom, or maybe just the dad, because he died or is missing, and they're trying to figure out what happened. I'm a terrible person to talk to about this because it was beautiful. I remember it. It's just hard to express. But essentially, Lu Guang, who is like the mastermind and help guides Chang Xiaoshu to go through all these events. Chang Xiaoshu goes in, Lu Guang helps him, is like the voice in his mind. And Suzy Yan's character, which I don't remember their name, just kind of runs the shop and takes orders and things, and it doesn't really have powers as far as I'm concerned. But in the Bridon arc, which the arc that I'm a part of, they're trying to find the dad, and they find the mom, and then the mom knows where the dad is, and the mom's like, you know, I got stuff going on. She's got powers. She's inhabiting somebody else, and she's like, I got my own plan. I got this. Don't mess it up. And Chang Xiaoshu's like, okay, but I don't, and they're like, don't tell Lu Guang. I don't know what to do. Chang Xiaoshu's like, I don't know what the best course of action is. And then they get involved with Vayne and Xiaofei and everything. And apparently it's like a prequel arc to this next season where Xiaofei becomes like a villain with Vayne and Liu Xiao, Corey's character.
Yeah.
So that, I know that didn't help at all, but like a supernatural mystery thriller type thing.
It did. I mean, it's not very simple. I mean,
All over the place.
It's not easy series. One of those series that require attention with what's going on. Otherwise, you're going to get lost in no time.
Oh yeah.
But let me ask you. So, like I mentioned, this Link Click is Chinese. Studio Bilibili is the one who Power Up. Not Power Up. Who own it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel the difference between dubbing a Chinese anime versus a Japanese anime?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, we know the name. The name we're already struggling here, which is a first challenge.
Yeah, so whenever my name is said and I have to say the name, and like all the Mandarin is so hard for me to get a hold of, and I do my best, but like Reagan Murdoch, who does a lot of the Chinese shows as well, he was in a cast with me with Heaven Official's Blessing. Is a master at like really figuring out the pronunciation and the phonetics, and usually I love that stuff too, but it's really difficult for me. Like Xiaofei, I had to say that while in the drunk scene, and I was like, wait, how do you say that? And I was like, I hope I don't have to say this again. Character Lu Guang says it a few times, and I'm like, oh, thank God, that's how you're saying it or whatever. I'm like, oh, you could do that. Yeah, that's fine. But also, like, the names are one thing, and like sometimes you're listing out multiple things at once, but it's the flaps. The flaps are so different. They're so complex, and they're doing like a mile a minute or whatever. So whenever you're previewing the original and then going into when you're doing it, you have to be really precise because you can only squish and expand so much. So if you don't get it right by like a margin of error, then you just have to do it again. And I've done it a few times. Like, I'm very musical. So, started with like musical theater and opera, and Shakespeare has its own musicality. So I use that to kind of help me figure out the time signature of the phrase, essentially, and help guide me through. And hopefully I'm not way off base. But, mistakes happen, and like you want to act your butt off, but you got to stay within the frame, and it's very difficult. And it's like, also, link click, the first thing Jerry says, Jerry is the director, Jerry Jewell, and he's like, this is very muted. And I know you know this, like me, Branden, you know this because you've done stuff like this before. But I tell a lot of actors, like, hey, this is more muted, this is more natural and grounded, so don't go over the top like One Piece or anything like that. And I'm like, okay, got you. That has its own restrictions, obviously, and like pitfalls and traps that a lot of people fall into. Is that, okay, so just like very low, monotone, and like no acting at all. But like, that's not true. Otherwise, that's just boring as hell and nobody wants to watch that. Like, I mean, Alejandro Saab. My God. That is... This series, watched it all at this point, is, I think, me personally, his best work ever. Like, the stuff that he goes through, and like, muted, sure, but like, his character's kind of crazy, as far as... he's probably the most emotional one here and the most caring. So it's a little different, but like to say that, keep it muted, don't do anything, don't act. And it's just like, you have to act. I mean, you got to put your all into it. Otherwise the story just doesn't come across, and it becomes like this one note thing. And there's so much to convey to the audience. There's so much happening that you can't just deliver it like, oh yeah, it's my turn, okay, I gotta go, yeah, it was good to see you later, oh, she just died, I am sad, so it's very challenging. But yeah, most of the time, like, Jerry just kind of like, you guys are actors, I chose you for a reason, you know your stuff, so do it how you think you would do it. And you're listening to the Chinese, so just, kind of keep the same level. And then act how you would do it in the situation. And we usually have time whenever the session's done. Like, we finished, or like, okay, we finished early. Do you want to go over anything that you think wasn't up to your standards? Because I'm fine with what you put out there. It's going to be out there forever. So just know that if you're good with this, then, it's out there, and there's no changing it. So do it now. And so I've learned from Jerry's shows, like, okay, actually, yes, there is one instance where it was a little awkward, and like, now that I've kind of gotten the flow of it, I want to go back to the beginning and fix this little thing, because now it kind of sounds like whenever I'm on the phone, it's like it's like nothing. So let me just fix that. So yeah, it's just a whole other process.
And for me, monotone's character or roles are like the ninjas of the voice acting, because you will say they don't deliver too much, and I feel like those characters are the one that most has to deliver emotions and feeling without expressing emotions. And when they succeed, it is a bomb seeing how you see in a monotone mute character how many feelings can be just dropped once. Those one that can make you cry suddenly, is like, those are one of the biggest roles. But that's not something easy to visualize for those who are not from the arts like me. It's hard to visualize it until you see somebody doing it.
Like, and that's Zeno's character, Luke Wong. He is like out of his brain because he is trying to think of ways to save Cheng Xiaoshe because, spoilers, he dies in one of the episodes. And so he goes back in time to, he says, not to mess with history because butterfly effect and all that stuff, but he doesn't want his best friend to die. So he goes down these like other options and tries different things out. And he already knows what all is going to happen. And if there's any changes, how to go about changing that. But like after seeing your friend die and going through all the motions of the same, like if you were to go back and repeat your year over again and just be like, okay, this is happening again. Dear God, like I'm so bored. And like, of course you would be. You would be bereft of emotions. And so that person is hard to play. And Xeno's told us himself whenever he was playing this character, he's like, a lot of this stuff is monotone. A lot of this stuff is flat. How can I portray the emotions I need to, like, bottled up, but still there? Like the character is so complex that you could easily be like, okay, this is a stoic guy. He stays here the whole time. I don't have to do a whole lot of work. That's not true. So what Xeno does with the character is a masterclass because, I mean, he gets one of the hardest characters and he's still got to portray all that. And for like someone to actually care about Luke Wong and his story and his friends and just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. He is trying to get to his paradise and he does feel. And there are plenty of episodes where we see that and Xeno gets to shine in his emotions and let it all out. Like it's just like it's bottling up and okay, here it is. This few minutes of the episode is where I'm letting it all out. And if you were to have anybody else do it, it could, like, that payoff wouldn't happen. So he's very in tune with that kind of thing and was talking exactly about that kind of character. So, props to him.
Definitely. And how do you manage the voice acting career? Because you have a very diverse character from anime with all the emotions.
Like, how did I get into voice acting? Is what you said? Yeah. I started acting when I was like 11 or so. I didn't come from a very actory background. My family didn't really do anything. My mom sang for the president back then. Was in like a touring choir and things, and was like cheerleading or a dance captain and things like that. But aside from that, I did like, I was sick one day in junior high, 7th grade, and my mom was taking me home, and then she saw on the board there was Aladdin Junior tryouts, and she was like, "Hey, Branden, are you doing this?" And I was like, "No, I'm sick, and it's today, so it doesn't matter." And she was like, "Well, guess what? You're going to stay in school. You're going to go to that audition and have fun in school. Bye." And I was like, "Man, this isn't cool. I don't like this." And me being one of, I went and did the audition. I thought I did okay. And me being one of the non-white people there, I got Aladdin. And I loved every second of it. I kept going from there. I went to college for musical theater and opera, vocal performance. And once I graduated from there, I did a lot of Shakespeare. I used to hate Shakespeare in high school. We weren't taught that very well. And it just felt like this language that didn't make sense. And once it finally clicked for me in college, I was like, oh my gosh. This opened up like a whole new horizon for me. And I couldn't wait to play in that world. And so I did a few shows in college, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to do this, this, this." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll get ready and take a class or whatever." And God, I love it. It's most of the work I do outside of voiceover. But all that being said, I was doing a few Shakespeare things. A lot of voiceover people in Texas do a lot of Shakespeare, including some of the directors in their free time when they have free time. And they noticed me, I'm friends with some of them, and they're like, "Hey, you do good work. We like your work ethic. come to the studio and try it out. And if it works out, there's more work for you coming in. So I go in. Joel McDonald is my director for One Piece, and I do bits for an hour. They brought me in for an hour. I don't know if it took that long, but I was doing to 20 voices or so. And I remember my first voice was like some monkey jumping over the trees or whatever. And I was like, what am I doing? I didn't know that's what this is. And it's like, I mean, you're going hard on One Piece. You're putting all the emotions out there. You're going crazy, ham. You're going 1,000% higher than you think you are, as far as like what you're having to bring to the table. And you're by yourself. You're not in a Walla group of 4 people where you can kind of hide amongst others or like work off of other people. This is purely you. So they're like sussing you out and like, okay, is this guy going to be able to get anything done? Or to just like go with the flow of how fast this thing moves. And yeah, that's kind of where it started. And I did some stuff here and there. I just kind of assumed that work would just come after that, but that's not really how it works, especially when you've only worked with one director. And I moved away to Virginia for a couple of years. When I came back, I let everybody know. I was like, hey, I'm back in town. I want to revamp or kickstart my acting career again. Like, what all can I do or whatever? And they're like, yay, great. We got something for you right now, actually. And so just sort of hit the ground running as soon as I got back to Texas. And it's expanded ever since. And like I'm mostly VO now and just been going like really hard to the paint there, but I'm loving every minute of it. It's only getting better and better.
Was that comeback for Qianqiu on Heaven official blessing?
No, actually, that was probably a year to a year and a half after my return to Texas. Oh boy, my very first roles were Genji, Karajishi, and Shinobi no Ittoki, and Kazekage in One Piece, and those were my 2, and then I had a few others in that first year, within the first few months. And truly, like when you're talking about monotone and like just like not used to the voice acting cadence and things or whatever, I was so bland. Like looking back at my work on Shinobi no Ittoki, I'm like, oh god, please nobody watch this because you will never hire me again. I'm like, why? I'm so grateful for the chance, but I'm like, man, my first foray back was not great. But yeah, everything past that I feel has been good work, but just don't look at my previous stuff when I started,
I lost kind of how many people say that, like, oh yeah, my first one, please don't look for that.
Jordan Dash Cruz said the same thing. He was like, yeah, like I feel good now, but when I started, I was in the same boat. I did not like my stuff, so like you're not alone. And I'm like, man, thank you for that. That's that's to say.
I think the part of the career development at this point, because I think we all go through that. That please don't look back, never for me, because even I don't want to see my stuff. So, how about the experience with Heaven blessing? Heaven's official blessing. When you have Qianqiu, this character, again, Chinese series.
Another Chinese series. Yeah. I didn't realize what it was at the time. I was Fernand in I Shall Survive Using Potions, and I was like, oh, this is my role for this season, so I'm gonna focus on that. And then they're like, oh, hey, play Locked in Show and have an official's blessing. And I was like, huh, okay, yeah, sure. I'm grateful. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I go to watch the episode, and I'm like, oh god, this guy is legit. And like in the main cast, and like Fernand is in kind of the main cast too, kind of sort of, but I was like, oh, the animation is absolutely breathtaking, out of this world. And I was like, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And all of these boys are so pretty. Like, my God, so sexy. And I was like, I can't believe I get to play this guy. And I didn't know, like, I don't read the manhwa or anything like that, any of the novels or audiobooks that this has. So I didn't realize how big this IP was. And so I told my friends, and they're like, you're in Heaven Official's Blessing? There are people chomping at the bit to get into this show. Like, I was like, I didn't realize it was this big. And they're like, if you need any of the books or anything, let me know. I will tell you anything. Just call me and I will give you backstory if you need. And I was like, sure, why not? Yeah, give me the backstory. And so man, I cannot wait to explore this as well. And this was my first role that was just my voice, just me. And I was like, is this okay? Like, is my voice okay for this guy? And he starts off as this really nice, gentle guy. And then there's a lot of stuff that we find out. Like, he's this pure, just naive little boy. Like, he's the prince of some kingdom or whatever. I'm saying it wrong. It's very complex. I don't understand it. But his mom and dad are like royalty. And he has this best friend, is this attendant who's been with him for a long time. And come to find out, that attendant ends up betraying him, killing his mom, and the dad is in grave condition, and like he sees them, just like blood on the floor, as a teenager, and then he sees the only person he sees is the general, not a general, but like some his tutor, essentially. But he doesn't know it's his tutor because he's got a mask on, even though it's clearly him, which is the main character. It's Howard Wong's character. And he sees him like kill his dad, and he has no context. But essentially the dad was like, I will kill everybody from the other clan because of this betrayal. Screw everyone. My rage knows no bounds. And Shilian was like, well, I can't have this happen. Like, I understand you're going through something terrible, but those people shouldn't pay for this one person's like betrayal, right? So he's like, I guess I get to kill you too. And Long Chinsho sees that and just goes into this unraveled depression, and it's like, what's going on? What's real? And then like we figure out whenever he grows up and he's interacting with Shilian again, he doesn't know that it was his tutor because he was always in a mask or whatever. And then he finds out it was him who killed his dad, but then the attendant killed his mom, and that he ends up like Long Chinsho traps Shilian in a coffin and like buries him alive or whatever. And it's just trauma central. He doesn't understand anything, and then like the main villain comes in and just lays it all out there, laughs in his face, and is just like, this is the reason this happened. This is this, and this guy right here did all this stuff, or I am the mastermind behind so and so, and like just pure, unadulterated vengeance. And he just gets so angry and hurt and crying at the end of this 12 episode thing. And it was just, my God, the story, so beautiful. And I was very proud to be a part of that cast. So, yeah.
And I can say Heaven's Official Blessing, one of those series that always surprised the cast, because you're not the first person I hear that. When they to the character, they're like, oh, perfect. And suddenly all their friends are like, whoa, you're in Heavens? They're like, yeah, incredible. Oh my God, this is a big character. And talking about something not under big anime that sometimes fly under the radar, but they're great. Well, I want to wrap it up with one of the latest season. So latest anime of this series, talking about no longer allowed in another world, where you have the character of Suzuki. Gold. For those who haven't seen this piece of gold, how do you describe this masterpiece of comedy that nobody saw coming and is still in shock?
I'll try to be quick. So like he has this 2-episode arc in No Longer Allowed. It was the highlight of that season for me, because I was like, man, this is like a reverse isekai type thing, and it kind of went against the type and the norms of what an isekai is, and I'm like, this is really interesting. The main character doesn't want to be in the other world because he misses his wife or whatever, and is just trying to essentially like kill himself, kind of, or like doesn't, it invites the danger to him and doesn't mind if something bad happens to him, because he's like, then I get to be with my wife. Some twists and turns happen. Essentially, he starts off with no powers, and they're like, what's this otherworlder doing here? And he has no powers. So my character comes in, and essentially he finds his power through me. So Suzuki, he's got this huge like wolf cape or whatever. He's coming in his blue armor on top of this wolf, and he can round up some other wolves to like entourage or whatever, just kind of gain control of them. So he's got this huge white wolf, so it's just looking like a total BA, just coming in, and he's like, hey guys, hey village, I saved you, now worship me. And clearly a villain, but Jerry was like, tone it down in the beginning and then, pretty much ramp it up, because it's gonna be pretty apparent. And like one of the lines at the end of the first episode, where he's like, oh man, such a naughty girl, and then it cuts to black and he's like, be a good girl. And Jerry and Manny, who was the engineer at the time, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I was like, wait, what? Do we have to do that take again? Did I get it? Is it okay? And they're like, no, that was just really creepy. I think that's going to work out just fine. So it was like one take and done. And I was like, oh, fantastic. I can't wait for this. And he goes through just like, my God, the second episode of him just like in a church. He ends up taking the church, and he was like, okay, I'm the king now or whatever. Then the main guy comes in, Sensei, and is like, hey, what are you doing here, buddy? Like, get out of here. And is just like throwing all this stuff at him. And Suzuki's got his like his henchman that he pays, this rapper guy, this random rapper, right? And he ends up leaving because he's like, this is too much for me. Because Sensei just has this incredible luck. And so Suzuki ends up like taking control of one of the girls. He can just take control of basically anything. So he takes control of one of the elf girls, and basically she ends up refusing his control, stabs herself, and it's like, why are you stab them? What are you doing? And then Sensei is like, okay, screw this. And he ends up finding these powers that he can just like rewrite and send otherworlders back to their home world. And it was a beautiful moment, beautifully animated. And yeah, it made me cry. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I can't believe I get to tell this story too. And in the end, like Suzuki ends up just like, you find out his backstory. Like, he's not just a villain. He was bullied growing up, and I was bullied growing up. Braces, singing in choir, show choir, it's just the name of the game. And I felt really connected to the character. But whereas he took that bullying, and then he ended up becoming what he hated in the other world. Now that he had all this power, right? It corrupted him. And as he was telling this story, he was like, screw it, I'm just going to like kill myself with this knife. And he has this just death scream. Sensei takes it and then sends him back as he's writing the pages of this like beautiful story. Rips it up, sends him back to his world. At the end, it shows Suzuki going to do going to a job interview and like trying to be better about his life. And man, it's just a great little 2-episode arc that kind of goes full circle, and there's a resolution, and yeah, it was incredible.
And I was in shock with this series. I was introduced to me by Madeline. I think it was Madeline Norton.
Oh, Madeline Norton? Yeah, yeah. She was the one. Her character was the one who sort of was like, okay, hey, you're here. now this is sort of the situation, and was kind of buddy for a while.
And when she present us the series, I'm like, wait, so this is interesting. It's so good. I never thought of seeing a series with so deep topics. The guy committed suicide, but there's sarcasm in all this. The truck who takes the isekai truck, all of them came to the world by hit by isekai truck who
Yeah,
just but it was a great way. The story, and I thought that Suzuki was the first antagonist to show up in the series, and for one point we all thought, okay, it will be the same topic for the next 12 antagonists, and we were so wrong because the solving the problem of each moment is so different, having been repeated again. So it's a must-watch series.
I loved it so much. You have to watch it. Like, I know there's a bunch of isekais out there, and you're like, no, anything with it in another world title or whatever doesn't matter. Like, some of the stories are actually like they stand out, and the dub was just fantastic. I cannot, biased, but can't recommend it enough. Go.
It is gold, piece of gold. So Branden, thank you so much. For those for those who are considering the voice acting career, or just for the fans, any words of advice?
Words of advice, man. Okay, so I see a lot of people in the voice acting community who are getting their start, who just try to do the voice acting classes and think that's enough. It's good that you're doing that and that you're wanting to pursue that. But if you don't have an acting background, then consider, first off, getting some like foundation acting in there before you go to these voice acting classes. Because if you're paying all this money to be seen by a director and you don't even know the concepts of like Meisner, Stanislavski, Adler, any of that, Chekhov, then it's going to show, unless you're a born natural 1% of the world, 0.1%, where you can just act your butt off. It's going to show, and they're going to be like, this person doesn't cut it. Just put them on the list or whatever. We're not going to see them again. So in order to prevent that, you want to make sure you put your best foot forward. If you're going to pay all this money, you want to make sure when you get your time to shine that you're actually shining, and standing out in the crowd. And you need foundation of acting. You need improv experience, because a lot of people don't know this, but in Walla, it is mostly improv. Okay, you're in a group of 3 other people. It's a four-man group or whatever. You go in there. They give you like a couple of prompt phrases of what's happening in the scene. They'll preview and show you how long this is going for, and sometimes like it's going on forever, like 3-4 minutes of just like general banter background talk in a festival, or you're going shopping at a bazaar or something like that, and you have to talk for that long. Like, you can take breaks a couple seconds here and there, but there can't be silence. You have to chatter about something. And it can't just be about nothing. So you can say that phrase, but then what? Someone else might use that phrase, and then you can't use that phrase. And that's for a couple of seconds. Then what are you going to say? So, and there's a couple of passes that you have to do. Like, it's not just one and done. In order to fill out the crowd, they'll have that same group go 2 or 3 times over the same moment. And so, doing a different voice, saying other things. You can't just say the same thing the whole time. So really, like, going into that improv is so, so, so important. If you can't afford that kind of stuff, Dungeons and Dragons, the best acting tool. I will be the biggest proponent for that. Like, I play D&D sometimes, or I used to play a lot more, but that taught me a lot about improv just by itself. And if you don't got a lot of money, that's the way to do it. Just go full into the role play aspect and be that character. And whatever you say is what you say of that character. And it just really helps with these sort of Walla sessions. And it's just invaluable. So Yeah, before you waste money on VO classes that can be extremely expensive, first get the foundation done, get some improv done, play some D&D, and then you'll be in a much better place for those very important classes where you're in front of these directors that you don't get to see, and you want to make sure you make a good impression. So that may not be what you want to hear, but like it's so helpful. Like, you can't, there's a lot of grounded and natural moments that you need in anime. Like, there's a lot of anime now where they want to focus on story. They don't, this isn't like some old 4Kids dub, you know, like, not to be rude, but like there's more to it now, and you have to be good at it or you're gonna be crapped on. So yeah, you just got to know your stuff.
Awesome, Branden. Thank you so much. For those who haven't followed you yet, which social media can they follow you?
Yeah, I'm Brand Low VO on Twitter, and it's kind of the same thing for Instagram. Brand Low _VO, I believe is what it is. Those are the two main ones. I'm also on Blue Sky, BrandenLoera.com. Yeah, that's me.
Awesome. And like always, guys, just go down to the description of this video, expand over the description. You will find the link to Branden social media. And like always, guys, we always invite you to follow all our social media. All of them. We're all of them. I said Koki Otaku. All of them. Everything is a new one. I cry internally because more time, less time I have now. So yeah, just follow us on all social media. So Branden, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. Appreciate you, man.
And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Sayonara.
Adios.